Hi everyone, this is Mexable69 with Take the Red Pill. So we are halfway through the series now. Well, not the series, but the question and answers portion, because this is going to be video number 5, and there were 10 altogether. Now, we're going to continue seeing what kind of things that this theist, Lamont Map, has to say, and hopefully it'll be fun and entertaining. So without further delay, let's get started.
Alright, the next question will be for Lamont. And this is something that Jason was touching on repeatedly, which I think deserves an answer. Can you defend a God of love who allows atrocities and the majorities of humans to burn in hell?
Oh, this one should be a very interesting answer, because the question as to why God allows atrocities and send people to hell, that should be a good one. Because, I mean, after all, he does order the slaughtering of children and infants, who, infants especially, have done nothing wrong. And then he creates, of course, this thing of, you don't love me, so I'm gonna send you to hell for eternal torment. Kind of seems a little sadistic. However, again, like I said, the answers should be fairly interesting. So, let's see.
This is a really great question. It's a difficult one to answer. I'm not kidding. But I might point out first that there is evil in the world. You're correct. You're correctly positing the question. The death of small children, people dying of starvation, diseases running out of control, people killing other people. But think of this. Love is the greatest ethic, right? It's the greatest thing that a human being can do for another human being.
Okay, that is not true. You can't turn around and say love is the greatest thing that you can do for another human being. Because here's the thing. Well, first of all, love is just a feeling. There may be actions behind it, and some people may not agree that because of love, when you do certain things, that they are beneficial or they are good. So, yeah, his opinion is a little bit flawed. But let's continue on.
We know there's no greater thing you can do for someone than to love them. But love can't exist without freedom. Love and freedom are indispensable to one another. So the presence of love, which is the greatest ethic, goes hand in hand with the possibility of the greatest calamity. I'll say that again. The presence of love, which is the greatest ethic, because of freedom, it goes hand in hand with the possibility of the greatest calamity. That's not my quote, I stole it.
Well, of course you stole it, but that's besides the point. Love and the possibility of calamity do not precisely go hand in hand. Wow, I can see that he's already leading up to some flawed premise already. Like I said, it's going to be good.
I forget for who. And that calamity is the bending or twisting of love to any amount of horrific things. Another thing is that our lives are interconnected one to another. If someone in the back of this audience started smoking a cigarette, and by the time they finished it, we would all be affected by the smoke. So people dying in Africa, a lot of that is the fault of the greedy rich. I mean, we have to face it. Because our lives are interconnected. So your greed affects everyone else. Your smoking affects everyone in the room. It affects our environment.
30 seconds.
We're all connected in that way. Another thing is we serve a God who's the creator of life and is able to restore life, so that evil done to an innocent person doesn't go unpunished or unseen.
Oh, he's definitely wrong on that one. I mean, take an example of all these Catholic priests that molest innocent children. They are going unpunished because the only thing the Catholic Church seems to do is move them around to another congregation, so that way they cannot be touched, or so that way they evade the law somehow. So, no.
God offers eternal rest to those who are heavy laden and who come to him, that the question of evil is only a temporal one which disappears on the time scale when placed against eternity. Whereas according to atheism, the problem of evil remains an elusive and unsolvable mystery.
Okay, so I'm still trying to figure out what in the world does his answer have to do with why does God allow atrocities and why does he have people go to hell? He was being elusive now, and of course, we did the whole goalpost shifting again, because then he turns around and says, well, according to atheism, and again, There goes the whole fallacy, the straw man fallacy again. There is nothing according to atheism, because the only thing that is according to atheism is they do not believe in a deity or the God, in this case, the Christian God. That's it.
We're going to play ping pong on this problem of evil, but the main thing I would have to say is just, like I said earlier, just because he cannot define our morality does not get him off the hook for explaining these horrible atrocities in hell specifically.
I agree, because all he did, like I just said, is goalpost shifting. He did not answer the question. He just kind of diverted things to according to atheism, and then thinks that he answered the question or that other people will be satisfied with his answer. Wrong answer.
Now he says that love can't exist without freedom, right? The idea that eternal conscious torment is necessary for love to exist. What kind of absurdity is that? For instance, to think of love. I love my wife, I love my children. What would I do and what would I save them from even if they rebelled against me? Even if they were in my face saying, I hate you, I would still lay down my life for them. I would never send them to any kind of eternal conscious torment. And God has that choice. He can do as he chooses. Now, the idea that hell, now, people will say that because hell, it's not a real threat, that God loves us and he wants us to respond to his love. But the problem is that if I was standing there saying, I love you, and I'm holding a gun to your head while I say it, is that real love? Of course not. Anytime you attach a threat like that to a claim of love, that is not an expression of love. You've got to remove the threat and allow that person to act freely upon their expression of love to you. That's true love. So when you attach a threat like eternal conscious torment, there can be no love attached to that concept whatsoever.
Well, you know, honestly, I cannot disagree with what Jason just said. You tell somebody that either you love me or you will suffer eternal torment. That's no different than putting a gun to somebody's head and say, either you love me now or I'm blowing your brains out. It is no different. So that's not choice, that's not freedom. That is coercion. And that, my friend, is not love.
Hell exists. I am in no control of it. Jason hates hell, so do I. I believe every Christian should hate hell. I believe God hates it. It's a very real place.
Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. You know, God hates hell, but yet he created it so that way when you don't do what he wants you to do, when you don't love him, he sends you there. Oh yeah, he really, really hates hell.
Jason wants God to force people to go to heaven, I guess. When God says, when someone rejects God, they are sent to an eternity away from God. Another thing is about hell. Fire in the Bible is cleansing. It's what cleanses impurity. It does the same thing in nature. When a forest burns down, the fire stops when there's no more germ. And I think the reason hell burns forever is because there's always a hatred of God, a hatred of what true morality is. There's always a germ that's there to fuel the fire. I have no apology for God.
Okay, let me get this straight here. So the fire does the same thing in the Bible as it does to nature. The fire cleanses. And when there are no more germs, that's when the fire stops. So let me get this straight. When a fire no longer burns in the forest, that is because there are no more germs. And that fire cleanses. Okay, well, if he truly believes that fire is a cleansing agent like that, let's run a little simple experiment. How about next time he turns on his gas stove, he changed his wrist to the stove so he can't move it any further, and has his hand right into the fire, and hopefully it'll clean his hands. How's that for cleansing? Come on, really? Fire destroys, it does not cleanse. I mean, that's what it does to a forest. It destroys the trees, the ground. Anybody who has half a brain would know this. Yet he came out and he said this. You know, these are the type of claims I hear all the time from theists, especially Christians. They come out with outlandish remarks, outlandish claims to prove the claims that are in the Bible, because they believe it blindly and don't even look at how it does not make sense. This is totally ridiculous, and yes, it is laughable at best. This individual is surely confused. I mean, fire cleansing. Okay, so here's the thing. Let's look at something else a little bit differently. When you go take a shower, it doesn't take 10 hours for you to be clean. Normally within 5 to 10 minutes you can be all cleaned. So why would there need to be eternal fire, the eternal torment, when if supposedly it's cleansing, then you could be cleaned in a short amount of time. Anyway, this is one of the threats that Christianity uses to keep people believing. If you don't believe in God, if you don't love God, you will burn forever. And everyone knows how much it hurts with the pain associated with, if you as much as put your finger on something hot. The pain, you can take your finger off of the heat, but the pain will last for quite some time before it actually subsides. So of course that's going to be a good fear tactic. People who are rational and can think and are skeptical will evaluate that and see differently. Anyway, again, we're halfway through the question and answer portion, and the next one will be starting with question number 6. So until then, I hope you enjoyed the last video and all the others so far. We're going to have more coming up. Until then, we'll see you. This is Megzabo69. We take the red pill.